Welcome back to Ta-da! 3D printing. We are on chapter 6 of the MK4 Mark IV kit assembly. This is the LCD assembly. And Prusa marks this as easy, so let's get into it. Tools for this chapter are an Allen key, needle nose pliers, the Torx key, and a Phillips screwdriver. Since the last chapter I did clean up, so let's get the tools out for this one. I'm pretty sure this is the first time using the regular screwdriver. I do get out the wrenches because I was not paying close enough attention to the picture and thought I needed them, but there's no arrow pointing to them, so we don't need them yet. But let's get all the Allen keys out just so I know which one it needs to be, and the needle nose pliers. Step 2, LCD assembly, distinguish the versions. We need to look at our LCD and see which version we have so we can follow the correct instructions. Version A has a PE festoon symbol located in the top left hole, and version B has a PE festoon symbol in the bottom right hole. And it does not matter which one you have, you just need to make sure you're using the correct directions for the version you have. So let's see what I have. In the electronics box is the LCD. Looks like there's probably only one more piece left in this. So let's gently, without touching too many of the important parts, let's get this LCD monitor out and see what I have. So my little gold plating is on the upper left side, so I have assembly A. And if you have assembly B, the next 10 steps or so will be a little bit different, but there's a separate link to that. Okay, so we need the LCD we already got out, an LCD cover, an LCD support right and left, and a reflector sticker set. We will also need 4 M3x8 screws, 4 M3NS nuts, those are the square ones, and a PE festoon 6.3 by 0.8. In the printed parts box, we will be looking for a bag entitled LCD. I need to make a little room here, and in this bag we will see the LCD cover, which is that beautiful one that says Prusa Mark IV. Reset button, everything included on that, and the LCD left and right support. These screws are in a new bag, and again they're in the type that you have to cut open with scissors and hope you don't spill them everywhere, not a Ziploc or closable one. And the square nuts as well. And the very last thing in the LCD bag is the festoon fastener. Step 5, LCD assembly version A. We're going to insert the square nuts into the support left and support right as shown. And then we will install the reflector sticker. Peel off the adhesive on the back, position the sticker strip so that it lines up with one side and both sides of the gutter, and continue to lay down the reflector sticker strip towards the other side of the printer, and press the sticker strip all the way into the gutter so that it adheres to the LCD cover. It looks like it's on the inner sides of both of these supports so that the square nuts will fit in. And those go pretty good, but I do have to kind of push them a little bit more with the needle nose pliers. And then I start looking for the reflective strip and realize I didn't pull that out. I don't know where it is. I figured it would be in one of these bags. So I look in the fasteners box, and there is another bag in this box that says LCD. There is mostly cords and connectors in here, but there is the sticker in here as well. And it did say in the notes that if you have any issues with this one, there is an additional one in the spare bag. And this along the bottom is the channel that we're looking for. I didn't see any easy to move backer on the middle. You really have to just catch the edge of this to get the sticker. And then I line it up on one side and just make sure it's centered as much as possible, and then as I move along I push it down a little bit into that gutter so that I can be sure that it is centered and it is where it needs to be. Step 7, attach the support on the right. So we're going to flip this over. It says notice there's a small hook that goes around the circuit board. We want to line up the hole in the plastic part with the hole in the LCD board. And then we want to insert the LCD with the support still hooked on into the cover. Note the recess for the support right in the LCD cover. The support must perfectly fit into the recess, and make sure the hook on the LCD support right holds on to the LCD for now, otherwise we won't be able to attach it later. Secure the LCD support right and the LCD board with the M3x8 screw. Okay, I set the support right into place. It's this one that kind of slopes away from you and has a ledge on the left-hand side. And the back ledge kind of lips around the LCD screen, so you do need to make sure that you catch that. And I didn't catch that I needed to set this in the cover, so I start attaching the support to the LCD screen on this side, and I don't get very far before I catch and realize that I need to set it inside of the cover. I'm a little bit out of order, but from this side you can see the little bit of a lip that you need to make sure catches over the LCD screen so that it actually fits flush in place. Okay, then I catch that I was supposed to put this cover on as well, so I figure out which side I'm supposed to be putting the support in and slip the LCD in, and I did already remove the protective film on the LCD display. And now that all of these are fitting together, I can finish fastening the screw in, and it's going to catch on the cover as well. And this is what it looks like from the side now that we've got all those pieces together. It does look like I need to tighten it a little bit on the left, but I just wanted to make sure that everything's fitting flush. And you can see that the LCD has a little button that comes through the cover, so everything is lining up good. So now I'll continue fastening the screw, and I do use the key instead of the battery-powered screwdriver because I don't want to crack anything. I do want to go slow and make sure that everything is catching and I'm not being too rough with it. Step 8 is installing the PE festoon, and we're going to put that in the top left hole of the LCD on the back, and we want to make sure that it's oriented so that the part points to the right, and then we'll secure it with the M3x8 screw. Okay, so from left to right, it'll be flat, and then it will bend up and to the right. And this is how it looks. Step 9, we were going to install the support on the left and attach it with 2 M3x8 screws. We are technically looking at this screen upside down, so we are going to be installing it on the right, but it is going to be for the left. These line up easy, and there's not anything you have to worry about a lip that's going to cover into any other pieces. Step 10, we need to get some cables out. We're starting with the PE cable, which is a yellow, and the LCD cable, which is a gray cable, the LCD knob, and 4 M3x10 screws. We will connect the LCD cable to the LCD board. Note the safety latch on the cable connector. It must be plugged into the side of the LCD slot marked with the triangle symbol on the board. We need to make sure that it's connected like it shows in the picture. And then for the yellow-green PE cable, we need to make sure that the square connector side is slid into the connector onto the PE festoon all the way down. And once that's done, we can skip to step 21. These cables are in the bag, the LCD bag that we got the sticker out of. We're looking for this yellowy green one, and then the gray one as well. Looks like there's 2 different cables kind of connected together on this one. And in the printed parts LCD bag, we will find the knob. And we need a few more screws. So the gray LCD cable looks like both plugs or both outlet sizes look the exact same. They kind of just mimic each other. And we want this side with the notch to face towards the triangle. And on the yellowy green PE cable, we're looking for the side that has a square end. And so it's on this side here. There's one side that has kind of curved over sides, and then the other side is a little bit flatter on this, and you want the flat side to be facing up. And you'll slip it on the metal there, and it'll look like this. Now we can jump ahead to step 2 and attach the knob. There is a flat part that we need to make sure lines up. Okay, that works out pretty good. It lines up and fits on nicely. Step 22, we're going to attach the LCD assembly to the frame. There are 4 holes on the front plate of the printer's frame. Insert these screws, the M3x10, through each of them from the inner side, and then we can attach the LCD assembly onto the front plate. Then we should guide the LCD and PE cables under the front plate to the frame. Tighten up all 4 screws. On the front of the frame, these are the only openings left, so we can proceed with putting the screws in from the back side. And they go into the frame without needing to screw them in place. They just kind of slip in, and then we'll have to screw them into the LCD monitor. This LCD display fits with the Prusa Mark IV on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side is the knob. And then I go through and fasten all 4 of these screws. Step 23 is guiding the LCD cable along through the frame. We want to set it in all 3 clips that go along the left side of the frame. This seems pretty simple, and all 3 of them are in place, but I realize when I start trying to put the cables through the clips that I had a couple of them upside down. I felt like they clipped in, but there wasn't really a space that I was able to slip the cable in. And they really have to be positioned so that there's a little space right there. You can see as I pull it that you can slip the cable in. But it really isn't a big deal because you can just pop them right out and flip them around and put them in the space they need to be. Step 24, connecting the PSU parts preparation. We need the PSU cover, 2 M3x10 screws, the buddy power cable, 2 of them, the power panic cable, and it does say that the latest version has 2 wires, black and white. If you have the older, it's fine. And we need 4 zip ties. Then we want to set the printer on its side so we have access to the bottom of the PSU. Remove the left screw of the PSU circuit board. Be careful of the washer and the screw. We need to replace it. Then we want to place the single end of the PE cable, not the forked end, into the same place we removed the screw from, and then put the screw in the washer back. And we need to make sure that the PE cable does not cover the threaded column, that hole right below it. The last item in this bag is the Prusa cover. You can see the logo there. The 2 screws. From the fasteners bag, we have 2 more cords that look the same. They're red and black, and they're red on one side and blue on the other side. And it looks like my power panic cable is black and white. And that completes that bag. And 4 zip ties. Set the printer on the side. Whenever I'm moving a printer in my print shop, I just feel so nervous moving them. I have to be so careful of the bed not moving because I don't want the thermistor to get messed up. But I have to remind myself, of course, be careful of the cables, but the thermistor has not even been installed yet, so it should be fine. Here on the left-hand side is the screw we're going to need to remove, and I set that aside with the washer. And then we locate the single-sided part of the PE cable, not the forked side. This is the one that's a little bit farther along on the cable. And I put the screw and washer back on and re-secure it. Step 26, we are looking for the power cables. We're looking for the forked side that has the blue banding. We will loosen the terminal screws but not remove them completely so we don't get anything mixed up. And we are going to install both of these cables, red, red, black, black, or positive, positive, negative, negative. I guess it's just trying to make absolutely sure we know the order because there is a warning not to connect anything quite yet. Okay, so we'll start with the 2 red wires and we'll slide the fork connectors all the way into the first 2 positive terminals. Make sure that the steel washer is above the fork connector and point the bent part of the fork upwards. Be careful when tightening the screws back in, and then we can proceed with the black wires and slide them all the way into the last 2 negative terminals. Make sure the steel washer is above the fork and tighten the terminal screw firmly. Make sure to have one cable have first and third position and the other one have second and fourth. Okay, so I just go through and unscrew the screws a little bit as I'm getting ready to slide the cables in. And then I start first all the way on the left with a red one. Then I grab the other cable and the next red one goes in position 2. And I make sure that both of those are tightened again. And then I take the black part of the first cable and slip that in on the third screw. And then finish up with the second cable, the black side of that. So that one's in position 2 and 4. And make sure everything's tightened again. Step 28 is connecting the power panic into the PSU. Use the side with the black connector at the end. We have a reminder to go through and double check that we have red wire in the second slot and the black in the fourth. Make sure that all the cables are properly tightened, otherwise there's a risk of damage to the printer, so this is very important. Then we'll set the PSU cover over the power terminals, make sure the Prusa logo is facing upwards. Attach the cover by using the 2 M3x10 screws through the marked openings. Make sure the cover is seated properly and no cable is pinched underneath, and then take a look from the bottom of the PSU and guide all of the PSU cables through the cable clips according to the picture. Okay, I double check that everything looks like it's in the right order. Now I can attach the power panic cable, and that is with the black side is going to go into the slot just to the right of all the wires we've been working on. Set the PSU cover in place. We want the Prusa to be readable from this angle, but we want to make sure that nothing's getting squished. And I realized that this one all the way on the left, the yellow one, I didn't secure it quite right. It's facing just straight down, so I'm not going to be able to secure the screw. So I just adjust that a little bit. Now I should be able to put this cover in and get it to attach correctly. These screws are not very long, but there's pretty much just an open channel that you're going to have to push them all the way through so that they'll catch on the frame. Then I tuck all of the cables into the 2 clips that are on this side. And I must have done better with the clips on this side because I don't have to take them out and reposition them. They work good. Okay, everything seems good with that. Step 29 is guiding the Z motor right cable. So this is right where we've been working. We'll slide a zip tie through the circular hole in the frame to create a loop on both sides of the frame so the cable goes through both of the loops. And then we will tighten the zip tie so it's snug, holds the wire but not too snug, and then cut off the remaining amount. Getting the zip tie in position is pretty easy, but then trying to maneuver the zip tie around the cables is a little bit tricky to make sure that it's actually going to do anything to the cables. But I do finally get it looped, and now I can bring the zip tie back around and run it through the other hole. So there's 2 holes that you're looking for, and after that I can fasten the zip tie and tighten it up. Step 30, we have more zip ties. We're going to be guiding the power cable bundle. So we're going to continue downwards and using another zip tie to create the next loop. We will guide the Z-axis cable and all cables from the PSU through this zip tie. Place the PE and power cables at the bottom of the bundle and push the cable gently in the zip tie and tighten it so it's snug and holding the wires. Be careful not to over tighten and cut the remaining part. Okay, so that's where the next 2 holes are. So we're going to put all of these cables secured through that area by the zip tie. Okay, so I've got the zip tie in, and now I can loop it back around and secure it. Step 31 is another power cable. We'll continue guiding the cable towards the buddy. Include the Y motor cable into the bundle. Secure it with a zip tie to the frame. Carefully guide and fold the LCD cable under the cable bundle. Do not include the LCD cable in the cable bundle. Leave it free for now. Guide the PE cable from the LCD through the cutout in the frame and include it in the cable bundle. And secure the cable bundle with the zip tie. Okay, so we're moving over just a little bit to the right and continuing with the same cables, but then we're also bringing the Y motor cable in as well. So I bundle all of those together so that I can put the zip tie in place. I get that secured and looped back around, and now I can tighten it. I make sure all the zip ties seem snug, and then I move on to the next one just to the right. And this one we're going to include this yellowy cord that's coming from the front of the frame as well, but we're not going to include the larger LCD gray one. This one takes me a little bit longer because I'm really just trying to make sure that all the cords are really smooth, nothing's getting twisted funny, and everything is as tight as possible. And then I go back through and cut off all of the excess. Step 32, connecting the X and Y motor cables. This is going to be, the X will be on the front slot all the way on the left, and then the Y will be just next to it, just to the right of it, and they are marked with a little tab on the cables as well. And then we want to put all the cords through the zip ties on the right. Okay, let's flip this back around to the other side. And you can see the outlets on the top left are open. Okay, so the X cable is coming in from the top, and I had to kind of dig for mine a little bit, and it feels like it is just barely long enough to plug it in. I don't really have a lot of slack, so I have to make sure it's positioned correct, and then I can push it in. And then the Y cable is coming from below. So this is the one that I need to make sure is going to go along in with the zip ties. And this one seems excessively long. But you can see the little tab there that shows that it is the Y one. So instead of fighting with it too much, I plug it in and then figure I can just pull the slack out a little bit after that. Step 33, connecting the PSU cable. We are going to need the power terminal screw, 4 of those, M3 by 6 screws, 1 of those, M3W washer, 1, and 3 zip ties. Then we'll attach the PE cable connector to the right lower screw hole in the buddy box. Secure the cable with the M3W washer and the M3 by 6 screw. Tighten the screw firmly. Note the correct orientation of the PE connector in the picture. And guide the PE cable so that it does not interfere with the threaded hole under the buddy board. Okay, here is the washer. I also get the M3 by 6 screw. The power terminal screw, we'll need a few of these, the 3 zip ties, and then I unwind and get the cable ready, and we want it to be the flat side down first, then we'll put the washer and the screw. And then we can tighten it all up, and I am a lot more careful on this side to make sure that the cable is not covering the threaded hole below it. Okay, so we get to connect all the cables on this side. We'll start with the power panic cable, and we'll insert the white connector into the bottom of the buddy board. And the PSU cables are going to be in a different order than we did on the other side. We're going to do red power cable first, then black power, and then red, and then black again. And we have another warning to verify the correct placement of the cables according to the picture, because it really could mess up the printer if we get this wrong. I got so distracted by those warnings that I completely forget to do anything with the power panic, and I jump right into the wiring. And I start with the red one all the way on the left. This goes okay, but these screws are so hard to get through the metal part of these cables. It's like the holes are just not big enough. And I mean, I'm holding them there. I have the correct tool, and it's very difficult. I almost feel like I have to wear them through a little bit. I even switched screws because I thought, well, maybe that first one was just a really random screw that didn't want to work. And it helps a little bit, but it's very tricky to get these. I'm hoping that mine was the only one like this because it was very frustrating at this point. I did look through the comments because I started to worry that maybe I don't have the right screw, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. And somebody else in the comments had mentioned that they had the same issue as me. So I don't know if maybe This was just a few of them that were like this, but I spent about 10 minutes getting these screws into place. Okay, let's move on. Step 36 is securing the PSU cables. We're going to divide the cable bundle into two paths, guide the cables from the PE, PSU, and power panic cables around the left cable clip from the right side, and then guide the LCD cable and motor cables in between the right cable clip and the frame. Secure all cable paths with the zip tie to the cable clip. See the details showing how to push a zip tie through the cable clip. That picture of how the cables should look is quite a bit different than mine. I feel like I've got a little bit of a mess. So I spent a little bit of time trying to just make sure that these cables look as smooth and straight as possible. I unhooked the Y-axis because this one just is in the way and I don't like how it's looped around everything. So I try to straighten everything out. I feel like the left side isn't too bad. I get that secured and then start working on the right side. And I have a hard time with this LCD cord. It's so thick. So I mess with that for a little bit too. And then I finally get it to look like this. Step 37, guiding the Z motor left cable. We're going to push the zip tie through the frame under the Z motor left. Guide the Z motor left cable through the cutout in the frame to the buddy box. Carefully tighten the zip tie, cut off the excess, and do not over tighten. This is pretty much the same process as on the other motor. We're just going to be securing these cables and make sure that they're not going to get squished. And then I go through and cut off all the excess on everything. Chapter 38 is connecting the LCD cables. We're going to put that in the slot on the right side of the buddy. Note the safety latch on the LCD cable connector. The latch must fit into the upper side of the connector. Make sure that all the cable guiding over the zip ties in the buddy box, not under the zip ties. Arrange the LCD cable like in the picture. The LCD must cover the cable bundle. Tighten the cable bundle with the first two zip ties in the bottom of the buddy box. Do not over tighten. Okay, so on the LCD cable, we are looking for the side with the little tab, and that needs to be facing up. Then we can get that plugged in, and then we can arrange the cables to make sure that they look like the picture. And I realize I have a few things unplugged. I need to plug in the power panic that I never did in the previous step. So I get that done now. And then I can make sure that I've got even the Y cable secured in there. And I start tightening the two lower zip ties so that everything looks a little bit better. Step 39 is connecting the extruder main cable to the slot in the right side of the buddy. Arrange the cable according to the picture. Tighten the cable bundle with the two upper zip ties. Do not over tighten. Okay, so this cable from up top needs to go into that slot. And I feel like there's a lot of slack from this, so I have to just kind of adjust it a little bit and work with the zip ties to get it to lay smooth. But it looks pretty good. I don't feel like anything's over tightened. And then I can go back in with my scissors and clip off the excess as well. Okay, step 40, we can have some more gummy bears. And I know that I didn't plug the Y-axis back in, but I'll get it in the next chapter. I check everything over that it looks like the picture and everything looks good, so we're ready to move on to the next chapter. Thanks for watching.